Okay, so in this next video, we're gonna learn how to do flow control for our blueprints. In other words, how to uh, make it so that the program can do decision making in our game. So basically, if something happened, do this. If something doesn't happen, then do something else. Kind of like true or false logic. So the way we do that, we can right click and look for a node called branch. So this branch is basically similar to the if statement in programming, where we consider a condition. If the condition is true, we do something. If the condition is false, we do something else, right? So this is basically the equivalent of the if, but on blueprint language. There's other ways of making flow control decision making with other nodes, such as let's say the equal node or these other ones you see here, which basically compare two values. And if let's say we're using this one equal, if they both values are the same, then that's when we return true or false. So there's different ones, but now that we're just starting, let's just focus on the branch node, which as I was saying, it's basically like an if. Okay, so here what we wanna do, we wanna set up this portion of the blueprint to make the decision if we do want to quit our game or not, okay? So how do we determine that? We're gonna use this condition kind of parameter here, which as you can see is Boolean. So let's actually use a variable for that. So I'm gonna create here another variable called should game quit. And then this Boolean, I'm gonna have it as a default. Make sure to compile. With the default, I'm gonna set it as true. So if the check mark is marked, if this has a check mark, it means this is as default as true. Okay, so I'm gonna drag and drop it here and I'm gonna say get. And then here, I'm gonna say the following. I'm gonna say that if should game quit is true, then that's when we're gonna do something specifically here for the true output, right? If this is false, then do something else. So now here, I'm gonna connect my print string to this instead. So if you had it connected, let's say to the set, disconnect that and just connect it here to the branch. And then basically we're saying, okay, we printed our message. Now we're considering this decision here. Is my should game quit true or false? We know it's true, right? Because we have it as default true. So then if true, which we know it is, then that's when we're gonna connect back to the set. Okay? So in this way, we're making the decision that only when the should when game quit is true, then we go ahead and do the stuff to quit the game. Okay? So this is a good way of making decisions. Let's go ahead and put this in a comment. Let's say quit game decision. Okay? So if true, we move on to quit the game. If false, we're not gonna do anything for the false right now, but in theory, let's imagine we're like a game. If false, then we could say, okay, game keeps going, and then it never forces you to quit, right? So here we're making that decision. Okay, so this, as you can see, is a good way of doing flow control for decision making in our games. Now I want to show you something different, which is also related to flow control, not necessarily about comparing values like true or false, more like comparing if something in particular is happening, such as if a key is being pressed. Okay, so how do you do that? You're gonna right click and look, let's say for the F key. So here we have what is called keyboard events. So basically, what does this mean? It means if my key is pressed or released, then do something else. So it's also decision making, but more as if a specific event occurs. So here we're gonna say if the F key is pressed, then let's print out a string. Let's print out a string. Let's just use this default just for convenience. Let's say F key is pressed. Okay. So then what does this little block of code gonna do? Let's move it here on the right. If we press the F key, then it's gonna print this message. Okay, let me put this in a comment as well. Press F key, then show message. Okay, so now we should see this message come up to the screen when we press the F, and the decision making for quitting should also work fine. For this, you're not gonna see any change because the game will quit after 10 seconds like it was before, but now it's doing it by first checking if this condition is true or not. Okay, so make sure you have all this implemented, compile, save, and then run. And then once you do that, if you press the F key, you see every time you press it, we get the F keys press message. And then eventually your game should stop after 10 seconds. And it does that by first checking with the branch if the game should quit or not.